alluded to this when he talked about the connection with Darnold, is just the faith that his quarterback has in him.
Yeah.
The Seahawks do a great job of helping JSN get open through their formations, the way they bunch him, stack him, etc. But on throws where he has less than 3 yards of separation, he leads all receivers in yards per route run. He's only behind Amon-Ra St. Brown in EPA, expected points added. And you saw it on the back shoulder. There was an out. Darnold just believes that even if it doesn't look open, he's going to get open. And that is something that feels completely sustainable over the course of the season. It's truly something special building there.
Yeah, it wasn't targeted at all in the first half. And again, there's so much to really like about this team. Mina alluded to JSN's journey, which is so interesting. But what about the defensive side of the ball?
I think the defense isn't going to get the credit it deserved last night or by the nation because of the way the game ended, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. making some plays late, Kyler Murray with an awesome comeback, but Kyler Murray was under duress the entire night. This front four has absolutely gotten after the quarterback, starting with Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams, and last night, Nwosu putting pressure on Kyler Murray. And when I look at this safety duo of Kobe Bryant and Julian Love, to me, they're the new Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. They're underrated. They're not talked about as much as some of the other bigger names, but they consistently make plays and they feed off of one another so well. And then Ernest Jones anchors everything in the middle of the field. When they get back Nick Emanwari, who's the rookie who was going to start at nickel, I'll be interested to see what Mike McDonald does with him because Mike McDonald is showing me week in and week out. He's truly a defensive genius with the simulated pressures, the disguises, adding one and running fire zones, man-to-man zero on the back end. They're so creative because they're so talented.
Can I ask you a question on defense? So, it's one of my favorite offenses to watch on tape right now. I think they throw so much personnel grouping and motion and shift and motion and under center and shot. Is it fair to say that offensively they're in a group from a defensive perspective that is throwing as much at you as anybody? Oh. And then defensively, are they as physical as anybody in the league, all 11?
Yeah, they're absolutely physical. They run to the ball, they hunt. Here is what I say about Seattle offensively that makes them extremely difficult. Everything looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? From one formation, you can get run, you can get play action boot, you can get a shot. From so many different split alignments, Jackson Smith and Jigba, like you said, you can get the crosser, you get the deep post, you get the out, and you get basically what's a slot fade, right, with nobody outside of you because of the reduced split.
Correct.
And I say this all the time. Training camp is where they got better.
Yeah.
Facing Mike McDonald, facing Clint Kubiak, going against one another. That schematic sort of challenge makes you better when the season starts.
Yeah, good point.
Well, RC, you left camp and you texted the group chat, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a problem this year. I remember it. Against the Packers, we now know are awesome. Speaking of texting, Dan and I were going back and forth between the game because the Seahawks were leaning so hard into their two tight end sets. And if you're a Cardinals fan and you're watching, hey, why are the Seahawks tight ends constantly being defended by linebackers 20 yards down the field? It's because they were running out of 12 personnel. The Cardinals were matching it with base. It's exactly what we've been talking about all season. I do want to say one thing about the offense, though, before we move on. I do not like the conservatism late in the game, and this has now been an issue for a couple of games with this offense and the play caller. I did not love them at midfield going run to set up the long field goal. Your passing attack is too good to turtle up that way, and they're going to lose against better teams if they don't
Well, this is what you want, Mina, right? You want them to be winning, but then room for improvement. This feels like one of those teams that's just going to get better and better in a very, very tough division. By the way, they travel really well under McDonald. They never lose.
And I can say welcome back to the show. Hey, it's Scott Van Pelt. You and I visited up in your place with the 12s when you went to the end zone late against Philly a couple years ago. Thanks for taking a moment. Damian Woody and I were just discussing your victory. You guys are rolling, and then all of a sudden we look up and we're like, how the hell is this a tie football game? What's the mentality on your guys' bench when you realize after that short kickoff, we probably need one play, which you made, to make a field goal and get out of here with a dub? What's the conversation on your sideline?
To be honest, I had no doubt in my mind that we were going to go down there and score, honestly. And I think coaches do a great job throughout the week and throughout, all of training camp putting us in those situations to succeed. And it felt just like practice. And, like I said, I had no doubt in my mind.
We showed the highlight, Jackson, and the connection between you and Sam on a number of different occasions. It looks like it's been there for a long, long time. What has allowed you guys to get so on the same page seemingly so quickly?
a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of reps, that people, people didn't see. So, it's awesome to go out here, each Sunday, Thursday night, and put it on display.
How would you best describe what your defense is capable of? Damian and I, again, just discussing literally all 3 levels. You got thumpers, you got guys that fly to the football, you got guys that make plays. You're nodding your head pretty enthusiastically. What kind of depth of talent is there on that side of the ball?
Man, depth, there's some warriors out there. I would hate to go up against them, to be honest. And, they prepared the offense, to make plays. But the defense, like you said, we got names on names, and they come out every week and prove it. And, I would say they're the best in the world.
All right, let me pivot to something totally unrelated to tonight, because I know how much it's difficult to get back on the field on the Thursday. But the good news is it means you get the extended bye, so to speak. I'm curious about how you handle this weekend, because you have a squad coming into your part of the world, and you got to represent the squad from the 614. Like, how do you handle being a Buckeye in the state of Washington when everybody's pulling for the Huskies? I see how fired up you are.
Yeah, the Buckeyes are in town, and that's my team. And, the people in Washington, they going to understand. They know that I love them and,
no, they don't.
Play for them. So, but maybe not the Huskies, maybe not on Saturday, but I will be there cheering my guys on. BIA, Zone 6, man, I can't wait to see those guys ball out.
Well, I always joke about throw the ball to 4. Like, we'll wait for him to get to the league. But listen, another Buckeye made some plays tonight for Arizona. You did your thing. I appreciate you taking a minute after the victory. Enjoy Saturday up in Seattle. That should be quite a scene, man. And be well until I chat with you again. All right?
When you look at this Russell Wilson situation, Tony, he says he's got a lot more football left in him. Okay, he's going to say all the right things. Do you think we've seen the last of Russell Wilson?
Honestly, I hope we have. And I say that because I just looking at him and his career, his legacy, like you talked about, if ever there was somebody who played himself out of a Hall of Fame, it's Russell Wilson.
Really?
And I say that because look at what's happened ever since he left Seattle. When he was in Seattle, he was the man. He was making these good plays. He won a Super Bowl, went to 2 of them. But as soon as he left there, he went to Denver, signed that big old deal. They paid him $39 million to leave. He goes to Pittsburgh, plays there 1 year. He's out of there. Now he goes here and has 3 games. I just don't know if it's going to get any better. And I don't want to see him on a sideline holding a clipboard.
So you're very much under the "what have you done for me lately" thing in taking away the first, decade of his career.
Absolutely, and I just don't think he's done himself any favors since he left Seattle, and I don't know how's it going to get better. I don't know. So
yeah, I agree. I agree. I think you got to judge his career off when the Legion of Boom was there. He had a legendary defense, an all-time defense, and how much success he had. And then without that legendary defense, the success he had. Without that legendary defense, he's been 4-11, 7-8. 0-3 to start with the Giants. He was a winning football player in Seattle, and people said, hey, winning is football player, all this good stuff, all these accolades. And